On your mind.
Don't ever stop. Don't ever stop.
What do you think?
Oh, that's right. What do I think? Here's what I think. I'm going to start the show off with this, because sometimes you just need a little boost. Never give up. Never surrender. Never give up. Never surrender. Never give up. Never surrender. You heard it. WCRS. We will never give up. Never surrender. Keep listening right here on WCRS. We try harder because we will never give up. We will never surrender. Oh, that's right. I will never give up. I will never surrender. No matter the depths that I have to go to stay on the air. Blip, 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 blip. Anyways, how you doing this morning? I'm Ann Eller. It's another day. It's another 50 cents. Inflation has taken $1 and I'm now working for 50 cents. Oh, what the heck. I love what I'm doing. Yesterday, I did have the opportunity to have Shelley Reed on yesterday afternoon. We really had a great discussion about getting into writing, his just kind of a journey down memory lane. We talked about how he came in the building over here at WCRS, and he goes, boy, this brings back memories. Then he looked around at all this stuff. I think he was like, OMG, what's this woman doing here? Anyways, he was most entertaining, most gracious to come on. He's had a great success with his first screenwriter movie that he was the screenwriter for, along with Granger Hines and Shockley, what's the man's name? Anyways, he had great success with that. He told us how he his life growing up, he always thought he wanted to be an artist. Did you know that? A painting artist. Yes, but said that he realized early on that was, of course, not going to be a success. And he also talked about his owning the Rough House for the very best hot dogs. I asked him what made a good hot dog. He told me it was the chili. And no, he wasn't giving that recipe out. And when he sold it about 6 years ago, he gave the recipe to the man that owns it now, and that he didn't know, but he has sworn secrecy to never reveal that recipe. You know, this is the stuff you wouldn't expect to hear in an interview from a screenwriter. Now, really, would you? Would you? Well, this is the type of stuff that I enjoy, putting the bits and pieces of somebody together. And so we had a great conversation. Coming up November 6th will be the screening at the Premier Theaters. It is the day before it goes out for national distribution. So this is just kind of exciting. This is just kind of exciting to have this, and to have had Shelley on yesterday, and to have talked about his life, the twists and turns, and how he gets himself ready to write, what type of research, what he does. Has he ever used AI for something? You'll have to listen to the interview to hear what he says about AI. So that is on our Facebook page, WCRS 98.5 FM /1450 AM. And if it's not already on our website, it will be by tonight, I believe. WCRS1450am.net. But that was an interesting one. You know, I think, not being overly boastful about myself, but I think I do some of the most interesting interviews and get the most interesting different takes than what most people get. So if you're ever bored and you're saying, I wonder what Ann was talking about, you can always go back and find them right there on our website. It's pretty entertaining, I think. Well, of course you do, Ann. You did it. Well, no, I am always analyzing what I'm doing. So, anyways, that's just a little aside. If you're looking for something to watch or listen to, you can do it right there through the website. And there are oodles of my interviews there. And what's really interesting, if you go back to some of my early interviews, some people would say I haven't changed much. I mean, I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about the technique. So it's really an Ann Eller original. All right, let's get ready to talk about some other stuff. That's enough about you, Ann. I wanted to talk about last night at County Council. As I said, I have not watched the whole thing. I came in right when they were getting ready to talk about the Duke Energy wants to lease about 2,500 acres out there on, Rock House Road, Five Notch Road, Hunter Road. There is a huge piece of property that you can put together. Theo did turn the meeting over to Dame Pruitt, who is the vice chair, because, of course, we all know that Theo works for Duke Energy, so that was the proper thing to do. So on this piece of property they would use of the 2,500 acres, they would use about 1,000 acres for a solar farm. And that's because there's wetlands involved. They couldn't use the whole piece of property. They had people, of course, from Duke that came and told the process that they would have to go to. I think they're talking about 2030 would be the target date. And of course, unless you forget, we're in 2025. So this is like a 5-year project, I think. There's a lot of work that has to be done. I don't really know the particulars on what it takes to get a solar farm ready to go. So all I can do is relay to you what was said about putting in a solar farm. That the Duke people are saying that it would not be seen from the road. That was one of the concerns. That there is nothing leaks from any of these things. It's very safe for the environment. All those kind of things, and did talk about how that because that there would be a buffer and that they usually place evergreens there. One of the questions that I thought was most interesting. Now remember, they are leasing this property. They are not buying the property. They are leasing the property. And I believe, if I remember correctly, this was like a 35-year lease. So pretty long lease. Long past I'll be here. But, okay, Kathy Miller did ask if where the solar panels would be coming from. And the answer was a very interesting answer, is that because of the changes that are happening in the federal government, that probably they weren't sure, because by the time they're the biggest thing Duke kept saying, very early in the process, they didn't have a lot of answers because they were very early in the process, but that probably they would be U.S. made because of the tariffs, and well, I'm not sure they use the word tariffs, but because of the regulations that were coming down. So that was a question that Kathy Miller asked. Then it was time. Then it was time for those that were for and against it to speak. Just, normal everyday people. The first person that got up to speak was, I'm not going to try to say names or anything, I'm just going to give you a synopsis. The first person that got up to speak said that he thought he was against it and then he was for it because with all the building that is going on in Greenwood County, these folks like living out in the country. They like their space. And basically he was saying that solar farms do not make any noise. They do not, they're quiet neighbors. And that would at least, long past his being there, would keep the property ostensibly the way it was set up to go. So I thought that was most interesting. However, what is going on here? However, I hold on a second. I'll be right back. I will be right back. I want to try something, and I'll be right there. So I am going to take a quick commercial just because I need to hear something, and we'll be right back. Don't you go away. One commercial. We'll be right back. Oh, all right. Well, we're right back here. I just was trying to hear something. I thought I had an issue, but I guess I don't. I guess it's just me. All right. What I wanted to say was that he thought that a solar farm was better than having people sell the property to developers and then ending up with a bunch of homes out there and more traffic, et cetera, et cetera. So he was for it. Several other people stood up and said why they were for it, et cetera, et cetera. Basically, they thought it was a good idea. But then the other people started getting up and talking about the things that they didn't think were good ideas. So, what did they discuss? They discussed the fact that more property would want to be acquired. That was one. What happens to the animals out there with the fencing and everything? And some people, one guy who was in construction got up and talked about, you have no idea what they have to do to prepare the land for it. So those were some of the questions that were gotten up. In the end, they simply passed it on to be able to ask these questions. A whole list of questions was going to be, the questions were going to be tried to find out what the answers were. County Council had a lot of questions about the property and how all this would work. So I think it was a good discussion. They moved it. This was only second hearing, so they can come back and discuss it. It will not be a hearing, but they will be able to take more public comment. So anybody that is either for, which has to profit by the lease agreements that they are making out there, versus those that are against it, will have the opportunity to speak. So I'm sure that will be a highly interesting meeting for the public to attend, and that will be coming up on, I'll have to get you the date, but that's going into November now. I think it's the first part of November. So anyways, that was a most interesting meeting. Now, so then they moved on to discuss about the 4-day work. Oh, the Hodges Commercial Park. I wasn't aware of this, but they have evidently secured 285 acres 285 acres on the Hodges Commercial Park. I think we'll hear more about that, but they have secured the property, i.e. secured it for future purchase. I'm not sure they've purchased it, but they have the option to purchase it. It was 285 acres. That was on that one. And the third item was lots of discussion about a 4-day work schedule. They did a survey. I just find this so interesting. They did a survey to see how the people were feeling about a 4-day work schedule. And one of their key questions was, did this make a difference in you either staying on the job? And I'm paraphrasing. I don't want anybody to come back and say you didn't present it correctly. I'm just paraphrasing. You can go back and watch the meeting yourself. But they were saying that did you take the job, did you keep your job there because of the 4-day work schedule, or was that not an issue in your doing it? They had agreed when they first went to this 4-day work schedule to give themselves a year and then come back. So that is why they did the survey. And they had, some people said it was not an issue in them taking the job. It was not an issue. Some people came back and said, if you change it, I'm out of here. I'm paraphrasing, but that was kind of the gist of the whole thing. So interesting discussion. I believe in the end, they did decide to move it forward and keep it. I will say, Toby Chapel got very excited. I mean, like coming after some. I think it was Allison that said, Mark Allison said that from the data that was shared, and Sandra, who is the human resource person, came up and gave them some figures off that. She indicated that she gave the numbers, the summary numbers. Okay, and then Mark Allison said that the reason that they went to the 4-day schedule was to hire more people and to retain more people. And he said that he didn't see those in those figures. Well, I'm going to tell you what, Toby Chapel had to get involved there and say his piece. So he did say that the figures were clear in his mind about the percentages. Now, the percentages were more for keeping the 4-day work week. I'll give Toby that. But they weren't, and according to Toby, they were very definitive. So let me just say, I'll just leave it as that. But I was surprised at how Toby jumped up on that one. Toby Chapel, our county manager, jumped up to refute anything that Mark Allison had made in his comment. So there are questions about whether it, and as Mark Allison said, our job is to serve the citizens of Greenwood County. And again, I didn't realize this, but not everybody is on that 4-day work week schedule. So, and there was a discussion about how they're working half hour or less or something, but in the end, they get a little less vacation time. So that is equalized out in their how they are paid by the county. But it was interesting to me how much Toby jumped up to refute with Mark Allison his opinion. There's one holiday that is an overlap or something with the city. It has to do with Christmas. And everybody joked about the fact that Mark Allison would be asking about that, and he surely did. Evidently, it is not really an issue by the way Christmas fell. But as Mark Allison said, and others said, the idea was to do what? Was to help retain and or recruit. and that to his feeling, he did not see that that had been a major factor. And then one of the county council members said that she used to work for the city and how she always had that 5-day work schedule, so it made it very difficult for her to get anything done that needed to be done during normal work time, i.e. doctor's appointments, etc. So I can see that as a boon as far as the 4-day work schedule. I wish I had a 4-day work schedule. Well, you could, I know, but I don't. Anyways, that was some of the highlights of last night's meeting from about the point that I watched with Duke Energy and the solar farm that Duke Energy wants to put in here. I think solar farms do have a lot of questions. I do think they have a lot of questions. Maybe the new generation solar farms are a little different than some of the older solar farms. I can remember hearing discussions about as the solar farm the panels, as they get old, they leak, they put stuff into the ground. And, the other question is, this is a 35-year lease. How is the land left? Should this not continue? And what does it do to the value of the land after it's all been cleaned off, etc., etc. So I don't know. But those are questions that I have heard about solar farms, and I think they are questions that maybe it's different today than the first solar farms that came out. So, but that's a question to anyways discuss. They will have one more meeting on it before they vote to finally do that. So, all right, that was an interesting part of County Council, and thank you, Ann, for listening and bringing us the details of County Council, because who wants to watch that stuff? Well, I do, because it's important. All right, the other thing I wanted to talk about just a little bit is social media and how social media can tank your career. Social media, anything from social media to text, all these things. If you think you have any idea of sense of privacy in today's world, just give it up. Just give it up. But I think the thing that I'm seeing most interestingly is what is happening with these politicians who made comments 20 years ago and now they're surfacing 20 years or more. I'm sure most people think, well, that was before social media. Well, don't be so sure. They're digging up a lot of this stuff. And it must be AI that must be able to find this stuff, because when I go to look for some of this stuff, although I'm not expert on finding things, but I still think that is most interesting. There is a story that I had found, and then I heard it on the news, and I thought, wow, okay. This is from a Democratic candidate in Maine who wants to try to replace Susan Collins. Maine Democrat running to unseat Susan Collins to stay in race after discovery of Reddit postings. So I guess that's really social media. Anyways, this is up in Maine. It really amazes me that this state that is just at the end of everything can end up in the news on some of the darndest thing. And he's on the national news now, because I heard it on our top of the hour news. Graham Plattner is running for a U.S. Senate seat in Maine that has been held by Republican Susan Collins since 1997. He faces a crowded field for the nomination that includes Democratic Maine Governor Janet Mills, oh my God, who announced her candidacy last week. CNN first reported last week an old Reddit post made by Plattner that he had deleted since entering the Senate race. This is what I'm talking about. No matter how hard you try to scrub the past, it's still out there, folks. The posts were made between 2013 to 2001, and he does not think the posts were disqualifying. This is Chair Ken Martin said Sunday, he's the chair of the Democratic Party, that the posts were disqualifying, but did say they were not right and offensive, and he was glad Plattner had apologized for them. He apologized. They're indefensible, they're hurtful, and they're offensive. Plattner apologized for the comments in a video he posted Friday on social media. So therefore, he has concurred that this actually said. He said the posts were made after leaving the Army in 2012, adding he still had the crude humor, the dark feelings, the offensive language that really was a hallmark of the infantry when I was in it. So now he's blaming the infantry for why he made these comments. And let's see, where are the comments that this made? He released additional Reddit posts showing him criticizing homophobia, misogyny in the military. But he said that, let's see, where was that? Did I miss it? He talked about he didn't see, I want to get this right now. People are listening here, so let me get this right. He appeared in which a candidate appeared to endorse political violence, dismiss rape in the military, and criticize both police officers and rural America were wrong, but not disqualifying him for office. So he endorsed political violence, dismissed rape in the military, and criticized both police officers and rural America were wrong, but not disqualifying him from office. So now he's blaming the military for why he was the way he was. There's always somebody responsible, isn't it? Collins' campaign said in a statement Friday that Plattner's old post disparaged everyone from people living in rural areas to the police and the disabled. The campaign also said in the statement that the controversy over the post illustrated rifts between the Democratic Party's different factions. But some Democratic leaders in the state said they are continuing to support Plattner after the post came to light. So that's what we got going here in our political campaigns. Doesn't seem to be anything. I mean, look at Virginia. The person that is running for attorney general wanted to kill his opponent, shoot his opponent right in front of his wife and children. Wanted to kill the children. I mean, the posts that are out there that are coming to light, I can't even imagine that somebody putting these things out there. But then, of course, look at what happened with, what was his name? Some of the posts on President Trump that came out of the FBI, CIA, SCU, whatever it was, about how they could guarantee that Trump would not get elected. Give you pause to think that people would actually send these things out on group chats, single chats, and not expect that if somebody wants to dig hard enough, that they will dig hard enough to destroy you. So, but in today's world, those things come across as somebody just coming clean. Doesn't that amaze you? Really? Doesn't that amaze you that this would be something that you would look at and just go, okay, there you go. I find it amazing. I also find it amazing that people actually wrote these things when they actually wrote them, and how they believed that this would not ever be a problem, but the fact that they actually thought that these thought processes were okay. This is where I think you think that some of the things are broken. All right, moving on. My last topic for today is the shutdown. President Trump has now said that he would gladly discuss with the Democrats if they would vote to reopen the government, because all the Democrats are doing, is allowing the government to keep paring away employees, shutting down programs, and that the sooner they open the government, the sooner that the Democrats would take that power away from the Republicans. And of course, he's going back and referring to the Office of the Budget, where they are paring away more employees, they're cutting things out of the budget, etc. Don't you find, to me, this is the most hurtful thing that can happen. Now, does it affect my life on a daily basis? No. Do I know of people who it's really beginning to hurt? And if this thing is not over by the end of the month, when new SNAP benefits and WIC and all these programs that are out there to help those truly in need, are there people that should not be on some of these programs? Absolutely. But are those programs helping certain people? Yes. So I do think that it is time for the Democrats to suck it up, Buttercup, open up the government, and get to talking. Because the more time that this goes on, I think the Democrats think that they have a strong enough position that they can force them to discuss this, but every day that goes by is a day that is less likely to have as a discussion, and that time is running out. By the end of 1st of December, they have to have these things worked out for policies going on for the programs to go on next year. However, every day that this goes on is just another day that the Republican side is looking at cutting programs. I know probably a lot of you out there are sitting there going, yeah, just get rid of the programs. Let's quit spending money. I concur, but I don't want to see people that truly depend on the programs to be hurt. And I'm really not sure where we are headed with the health care issue if they don't get together in a room, and the Republicans and the Democrats and the president, and work out if they are going to have subsidies, how they are going to work it forward. This thing with Obamacare is something that they knew was a problem. Why have they not addressed it? Why have they let it come down to this? I think it's sad, and I think it is a disgrace that the biggest and best country in the world can't get its act together when it's talking about budgeting and how to go forth from there. Needless to say, that's where we're at, and that's why I keep saying this.
Never surrender. Never give up. Never surrender. Never give up. Never surrender. You heard it. WCRS. We will never give up. Never surrender.
That's right. We will never give up. We will never surrender. But I guess so says the Democrats and so says the Republicans. So that's why nothing is happening. But it is something that needs to be taken care of. You can only move so much money around to try to pay the military, to pay essential people. How long can you expect people to go along and say, yeah, okay, I'll just keep doing my job, hoping I get back pay, and I have rent due, and I have this due, and I have that due. So while there are safeguards for people to apply for other programs, unemployment, etc., some of these programs are going to have problems if the government doesn't open back up. Anyways, this is a sad state of affairs that this is where we're at. All right, that's my comment on that. Last but not least, Pretty in Pink went on last night. I heard nothing but rave reviews about how Pretty in Pink has been rejuvenated, I guess might be a good word to say it. People liked the hors d'oeuvres, all the kinds of hors d'oeuvres, and the pink champagne, and dressed in pink, and it was a beautiful night. So not only was it in the art center, it was out in the courtyard, and people had a great time, and I've talked to several people about it. So I just wanted to do a shout out about what a great program that Pretty in Pink was last night. Of course, that was in reference to breast cancer awareness. I also want to say that Sloan with his pink heels is getting a lot of kudos out there. That's right. Sloan over there at Ideal Shoe is going ahead and doing free pink heels on any pair of shoes that you'd like to change to pink. He will be putting pink heels on your shoes for free. That's Ideal Shoe, 216 Presley. That does go through the end of the month. So if you think you ever might like a pair of pink heels, or if you'd like to wear that with an outfit that you've got in pink and you'd like to have that accent, one of my friends had a pair of black and white heels, and the heels were kind of messed up, and she goes, "Ann, I'm taking those over there and getting some pink heels on my shoes." So there you go. That is a little bit about some of the things that are going on. Coming up this weekend is going to be a great weekend uptown for the love of whatever you love. If it's in uptown Greenwood, hallelujah, they're going to be giving you a lot of opportunities. Starts Friday night, starts at Friday night 5-ish maybe, and then starts at 10 or 11 o'clock. Street musicians, looks like the street musicians, food trucks. It's going to be an excellent event. I'm going to try to get Miss Penny out there. I'm gotta get her a sash. Princess in training. All right. Do we have any comments here I need to bring up here this morning? Looks like everybody's been silent here. I haven't hit a nerve with anybody this morning. I can't believe it. Let's check out the other message areas that I have. By the way, there is a let's see. Fetterman says he'd support the GOP move to end the government shutdown. And Jeff Merkel's filibuster live from the Senate floor speech passes 11 hours. So there you go. But I did want to see if there's any other information out there from my peeps here this morning. I don't know. Let's check it out. See if there's any other messages. Looks like we are all clear this morning. I hope I didn't bore you here this morning. 864-332-9355. 864-332-9355. No show this afternoon. I got a special event that I'm going to. Don't forget, tomorrow on Thursday is the Patriots Barbecue, so we will not be doing a show tomorrow. However, look for some live pop-up interviews. I may be doing a live pop-up interview this evening with a very special person. Can't tell you who it is yet. And but look for that on WCRS 98.5 FM, 1450 AM. And tomorrow on Thursday, we will not, I repeat, we will not be doing a show because the Patriots Barbecue, and I plan to be out there, although we will be going live, just like I like to do at events. But I may have a special pop-up interview tomorrow, so you better check it out. You need to follow us and get notified on notifications. So when I go live, like when I was at the fair last week, you get to know about it. Anyways, that's going to do it for me. This is WCRS right here in Greenwood, South Carolina. Ann Eller, talker Ann Eller, signing off for today. Have a great day. Drop the curtain. I'm out of here. Hope you enjoy your day. Take it away.